Welcome to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. As you know, this is a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you get to be set free from your health problems. Guys, today I have an exceptional show for you. We are here today with Curtis Martin of Cereset Davidson. He's co-owner with his wife Julie, and they have an exceptional, I'll call it, healing option to now work above the spine, above the neurology, and go into your brain, where we can actually discuss this concept of healing the brain. So Curtis, thank you for being here today.
Sure.
For our listeners, they've probably never heard of Cereset. Could you just take a moment and give me a little history of Cereset? What is it? When did it begin? Who founded it? How did you get involved in Cereset?
So Cereset, the word stands for Cerebral Reset, and it was developed by a theologian, scientist named Lee Gertis about 25 years ago.
Okay.
He was actually had some PTSD and head trauma after being hit in the head with a bat. After he did an outreach with his church out in San Francisco, had great difficulty sleeping for 8 years, and literally was crying out to God, praying, shaking his fist at God. Really, how do I get out of this place I'm in? Sleep deprivation for a long time is...
I mean, it can be detrimental for your health.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I heard somebody said, like, if you don't sleep, but like, let's say you shave like 2-3 hours out of a standard sleep cycle, and you do that just for 1 week, it is the same effect as if you got drunk.
Wow.
You lose cognitive function, you lose the ability to be like aware, and your coordination and your skill drops just as if you're drunk. And that's if you sleep 6 hours instead of 8 hours a night just for 1 week straight.
Wow. Well, so he's praying in prayer, and he gets the thought, look at your brain. And because he has a background in physics and quantum physics,
wow.
he remembers the principle of the observation principle. If a system is near infinite, it has infinite possibilities, it has the possibility to heal itself if it can observe itself. So he created a way for the brain to heal itself by observing itself. He tried to do it through sight, because light's faster than sound, but he saw that the way we're wired neurologically, it worked better with sound to assign tones to the brain waves. So what Cereset is it's where you go and get sessions, and we put sensors on your scalp. It reads your brain waves, sends it to a computer, comes back as sound. So how did we get involved with opening the one in Davidson 5 years ago? My wife's a counselor, has been a counselor for over 20 years. Had a client go out to Colorado, and she had great insights, and breakthroughs with him that she hadn't seen before because of the Cereset. Like the guy never even smiled before.
Yeah.
So he had such breakthroughs. She came home, asked me to look at the research. Next thing I know, we're on a plane to Arizona to check it out, try it out. And I didn't realize until I did it, I was living in anxiety all the time. I just thought it was normal.
Yeah.
And it was like...
We talked a lot about that.
Yeah,
you and I did. Yeah.
Wet blanket was taken off, and it's big inroads for her. She got off several medications.
Wow.
For both of my sons as well. So we've been running it. She ran it primarily the first 3 years, and I was helping nights and weekends. And then I came over from my corporate job in sales, and I've been primarily running it the last year and a half while she's still in her practice.
So how does someone who's in sales, I mean, I heard you say you had your like aha moment, but describe to me how you go from sales to now being like a brain therapist. What would you call yourself? A brain...
They call us tech coaches or neurotechnologists.
Neurotechnologists. There you go. So how does somebody go from sales to neurotechnology? Was it the, oh my gosh, this helped me, or was it something different?
Well, and remember, before that, I was in the Air Force working with nuclear missiles, so I have some capacity for technical things.
Sure.
And I've always loved data, so there's a lot of data involved with this. The sensors take 500 readings a second of 48,000 brain waves.
What?
So when I just do a 2-minute scan, I'm getting about 250,000 readings on your brain to tell me what's going on consciously and subconsciously.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So can you explain, you made a comment, maybe our viewers are like, wait, the brain can be heard and it can have something talk to it? Like, are you saying there's a way to talk to your own brain?
There is a way for your brain to talk to itself.
Ah.
So the way Lee Gertis designed it, when those tones or when those brain waves go to the computer, it assigns it tones with the primary frequencies it's reading.
Okay.
So that it can see where it is. I use the analogy of like climbing to the top of a hill, and you go to the top of a hill and You look down, a lot of times you see people coming to the summit of the mountain different ways, and you kind of start to wonder, why did our guide bring us this way? We could have gone that way. You're doing that for your brain, giving it an objective view, because a lot of times people get stuck with their brain sending messages, especially in the stress response, not because they're needed, but because they're familiar.
Interesting. Kind of like, I've been told it's like a blueprint. Like, for example, when we get stimulated neurologically and we're in fight or flight, we play blueprints, we play paths. I don't feel good right now. I don't want to have this feeling, so here's how I've learned to get out of it. Maybe it's we withdraw. Maybe it's we pursue. Maybe it's we become hyper analytic, or we become hyper emotional. So I've been told in a fight or flight state, we quickly play our blueprint. So are you saying that if you could listen to your own brain, you could discover what its blueprint is, more or less? Like, are you stuck in fight or flight, or are you stuck in another pattern, and you can somehow like teach the brain how to change? Is that what you're saying?
You're definitely creating an environment of neuroplasticity.
Wow.
So neuroplasticity is when the brain can change. And the reality is, we put people in a zero gravity chair, and the nice thing about Cereset is you don't have to do anything. So it has the concept of neurofeedback or biofeedback, but those only work on 3 to 12 brain waves,
right? And
you're involved in the process of conditioning your brain.
Yeah.
With Cereset, we want you to relax and let your brain do the driving.
Talk to itself, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of people come in with so much anxiety, a lot of professionals ruminating, problem solving all the time. It's hard for them to sit still. And I'm literally sometimes give them a track to help their brain relax.
Yeah, you told me that, where you're like, I think you told me just, if I remember right, you're like, just either spell your name in your mind, where you're focusing on something.
I always say your first job here is to let your
F.
brain relax. Yeah. So go to each letter and think of 4 words. And it gives the brain a track, but it's not an emotional track. Yeah. So I don't want the brain engaged. We believe in prayer and all these, especially, but we don't even want them praying in the chair, because that's emotional, that's engaging in a relationship.
Yeah.
So we want them just relaxed and letting their brain see themselves, heal itself. So, I mean, I sleep through the sessions.
Yeah. I didn't in my first few, because I was like thinking a lot. And I think you told me the first thing, and you're like, so think of first, and you come to the letter F, and I'm like, fabulous, fun, frivolous. I just kept thinking of F words, and then when I ran out of F word, well, the good F words, guys, not bad F. I just thought of that. I would go to I, and I'm like, incredible, invisible, and I just kept I, and when I ran out of I's, I would go to the R, and romantic, and and you just keep going. And the next thing I know, you walk in the room, and you're like, it's been 12 minutes, and I'm like, what? It feels like 2. Later on, by probably my 3rd or 4th session, I think I would start to hear, and we'll talk about this in a second, I would hear the therapy and out cold. Yeah. Can you explain to our viewers, how do you actually listen to someone's brain? Like, how does Cereset listen to their brain?
So there's obviously some proprietary things they do that are patented. The key thing is that your brain is listening to it, and their tones, they're not musical tones. So like my son's a musician, people who come in with musical skills, sometimes it's not harmonious, it's not intended to be Mozart or Bach or anything. So they're assigning the tones to the brain in real time. So when you're listening to the tones, it's real world, real time, your brain. It's not a recording, it's not something everyone hears, it is real time, and it's adjusting as it hears. As it goes.
So, how about the actual technology? Because when I went, you put leads on my head. So could you explain, like, what are those things? What are they doing? And how does that device, how does the Cereset device actually, like, how does it listen to brainwaves?
So we use EEG sensors.
Oh, okay.
John Reynolds, who's a neuroanesthesiologist out at Wake Forest, been there many years teaching, actually did a podcast with my wife, and he explained that the sensors we use are more sensitive than what he uses in brain surgery. Yeah. He does the deep brain implants for people with Parkinson's.
Yes, right.
So he's like, what you use is more sensitive than what I do. So those sensors are sensitive enough, they're taking up 500 readings a second, sending them to the computer compiles to say, here's the primary, here's what I'm hearing, sends it back as sound. So you lay there and listen. to the
Yeah, so
sound.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot. It's totally fine if this is not possible, but do you have an example of the sounds that the Cereset plays, like on an audio file?
I don't have it in audio.
That I could like overlay, so if I was to say like, hey, here's what a Cereset sound sounds like.
It would be like a common, I don't have a soundtrack, but if you listen to, if you have ever heard a xylophone,
Yeah.
or a guitar string, or a bass, it's a combination of different, you can tell different instruments in there. And sometimes it's soothing, sometimes I'm glad the volume, sometimes it feels like a kid banging on a xylophone, so you're like, wow, my brain's really hammering away at this frequency.
So I'm curious, is it different for everybody? For example, mine, the way I would describe it to you, was like a steel drum that has multiple areas where it's like boom, 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 and then a flute going like, so I'm just like, for example, is it different for every single person? So it's based on what your brain basically is telling the computer, and the computer then generates this audible tone. And if I can describe this, and you're probably gonna do way better at it, you come in, I go into zero gravity chair, you put the EEG leads on my brain, physically through my scalp and my hair and everything, and you do this 2-minute assessment first. So you just say, lay there in silence, try to just think about nothing, or think about the first concept, and 2 minutes later you come in, and what is it doing in those 2 minutes?
And a key thing is your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
So we do work with some kids. We can do eyes open with kids, but it's best if their eyes are closed.
Okay.
So people always ask, can you work with children? I'm like, yeah, if they can sit still, keep their eyes closed.
Keep their eyes closed.
So, so as it's seeing itself, it's correcting. So it is saying, it's basically saying, I don't have to keep sending energy or messages that way, because that's what's being sent is energy between the synapses. So it's basically saying, I don't have to do that, and it starts recreating. I'll actually have people feel shifts during the sessions where they either feel more relaxed. Some people have emotional releases.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm wiping tears away and I don't know why. Other times I'm wiping tears away and I have memories that I'm dealing with. So Cereset deals with trauma, both emotional and physical. Wow. So, we've had a lot of people with PTSD. There is a foundation Lee Gerdes set up after he died to help first responders and veterans and people who work in ERs and do crisis counseling. Yeah. So we have a way to help them get their first 5 sessions for free. That helps with the emotional. I had a lady last week, I came in and she was sobbing, but it was tears of joy because God was connecting some dots on some things that happened to her 50 years prior. So a lot of times people are just sleeping through the sessions and going, that was very relaxing.
So if you're cool with this, I know we talked about this in advance, and I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to share not only just my experience with going to Cereset, but like my actual brain readings. And I think you brought them with you. Yes?
I did.
So could you show them my first scan? And I'm going to put it up on the screen. So everybody, this is my first scan. Now, could you explain what are they looking at on this screen? So like, again, they don't see us right now. So we're still here, you can hear us, but what you see on the screen is my first scan. So can you just walk us through like my baseline scan and how do I read this?
So what you're seeing is what we call the client report card, and it is taking that, so of those 240,000 readings in 2 minutes, it's breaking it down into 2 parts. First, emotional. And it says it on the top, we label it for everyone, the frontal poles, the emotional fitness, look at your emotional fitness. It's breaking down those 120,000 data points into 10 bands. The first 4, 0, 10, 20, 30 are your subconscious. The middle 2 are your mid frequencies, and the upper 4 are your consciousness. So you look at it and it says balance at the top and it goes left and right. You see that in this scan, most of the blue bars are to the right, and that's a right frontal pole imbalance. That's correlated with the tendency to experience negative emotions that are externally focused on a person or situation outside yourself. The emotions tend to be frustration, impatience, resentment, mistrust, and or anger. So when you came in, you were more to the right. You had actually done an intro session the week before, and they were either they were to the right, but they were further right this week.
Yeah.
So, and your emotions tended to stay to the right, but mostly balanced.
Yeah.
So what that told me is consciously and subconsciously, you were really emotionally fixated on something outside you.
Which we had just talked about.
Right.
I had this post where I was explaining the concepts of an adrenal fatigue syndrome. And this medical doctor had hopped on that post and started ripping my credentials, my knowledge, my understanding, and said, none of what you are talking about, Dr. Ernst, exists. We don't recognize in medicine adrenal fatigue. There's no such thing as adrenal fatigue. And he goes, you're not a doctor, you're a quack, you're spreading false information. And I had literally just sent a few loving responses to this doctor, and then I went into your office.
Right.
And so I was frustratingly, fragilely, egotistically rubbed, and I was upset with an external environment. And you're basically saying that you're like, wow, I can read that by looking at this chart that you see of my mind.
Yes, and we're located right off 77. Sometimes I get people coming in off 77, dealing with the traffic. And could this affect where my brain is right now? I'm like, yes. Emotional.
If you live in North Carolina and you tried to drive from Charlotte to Davidson, you understand what we're talking about.
It's by the lakes, and people like to look at the lakes.
Yes.
So bottlenecks there.
Yeah, or lake necking. Okay, so if this is my baseline scan, does it also suggest that that's my trend, like my blueprint, therefore, when I'm fight or flight irritated, is to get frustrated and to be, how did you say it? Externally fixated on my environment frustrating me.
Well, this is where you were emotionally.
Yes,
the other scan, if you bring up the second scan, is the stress.
So hold on. So just for our viewers, so we're switching now to, so the first scan was my emotional state, and the second scan is my stress state. So now you see this scan. So can you walk me through what this shows?
At orientation, and your stress fitness and the journey there was the bigger story for your brain prioritized that. We don't prioritize it. Your emotions there, and then 10 days later for your emotions was very similar. So your brain decided not to really prioritize that for good reason.
Okay.
Because your stress when you came in, you'll see that green bar in the middle. When you saw in the previous chart, it was really big. On the other one now, it's really small. That's one standard deviation, but the fact that it got so small showed you how out of balance your stress fitness was.
Okay.
If it was to the right, that's your fight or flight or your sympathetic nervous system. To the left is your freeze or your parasympathetic. You had imbalances consciously. You see in those 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the conscious area.
They're to the right.
It was to the right. So you were consciously in fight or flight. Your subconsciously, you were at a huge imbalance to the left, which was a freeze. Those two together indicate that you had some tension between the two stress systems, between a strain on the body and the brain, going fight or flight and freeze at the same time.
As if I was aware of it, though. Is that what you're saying? Or I was.
You were not. Well, subconsciously, you came in. You weren't really aware of it,
right?
Because what we saw is you kind of lived in fight or flight.
Yeah.
So that's, in the technical terms, they call that the polyvagal theory. People get stuck in fight or flight or freeze. You're sitting in a zero gravity chair and there's no threat, yet you're in fight or flight. Like
even though I felt like I was relaxed, kind of like what you said. You're like, I lived in constant
anxiety,
fight or flight, anxiety, and I didn't even know until I've had these sessions. I'm like, wow, now I know what it actually feels like to be aware, sort of consciously and subconsciously, of like, that's. I've never felt so much joy and peace after how many? 5, 6?
You did 5 sessions.
5 sessions, and now it's like, when we'll talk about this in a second, we'll show the progression of each of my treatments.
Actually, you've only done 4. You still have 1 more.
But that's right.
Yeah.
So, so looking at this now, because I've interrupted you, so I'm so sorry. Describe this scan. So this one is your stress fitness. Well, real quick, what does it mean to be stress fit?
Well, really, you just want to have the capacity to respond to stress instead of react.
Okay.
So a lot of times we'll react, and that's a lot of times we do or say things we regret. And that could be saying something to someone we care about, saying things to ourselves.
I see. Like when we're in fight or flight, we say that thing.
Say or do something.
Oh, I wish I didn't say that, but we did say it.
Like an extreme case would be, hauling off and hitting someone, or saying something really harsh.
Yeah.
Where the other side is freeze. And Freeze is where you kind of isolate and get away from people. So your brain was in a place where it was trying to do both at the same time. So obviously create some strain. I will point out the subconscious, the 0, 10, 20, 30 band, that is your autonomic nervous system. So a lot of times when you come in, what you present kind of tells us where you've been living. To answer your question, is it where you always are? No, it's a snapshot. But when you're stuck in there, I mean, I'll have scans with people that are weeks apart, and I can almost put them right on top of each other.
No kidding.
Because the brain tries to go back there.
Because it's its familiar state then.
Right.
So let me ask this question. So everyone can see this, my initial stress scan. Explain the fact that one bar goes like what, -22?
Yeah.
So what is that? Like those 2 bars on the left, what does that tell you when you look at that scan?
Well, usually when it indicates that someone who has been and it's indicative of someone who's been under severe prolonged stress. So usually what I tell people who are to the left in their chart,
right? Yeah.
Either way, conscious or subconscious, if it's to the left, and especially if it's way out there, you've usually been living to the right. Because this moves like a pendulum.
Yeah.
Sometimes the pendulum doesn't swing. Some people are totally stuck in freeze or fight or flight.
Wow.
And
they're stuck in the
in freeze. Yeah. They are stuck.
State.
They want to be away from people. They have a lot of brain fog.
Yeah.
They're stuck there. But a lot of times when people are in freeze, it's because they've been under prolonged stress, because it's not only called freeze, it's also called rest and restore. So your brain is going, after a while, you can't fight and run all the time.
So it almost makes you go into that other state.
Your brain wants to, but a lot of times...
So is it normal to swing heavily left and right, or is the idea that it should be more of a pendulum, like I'll call it -5 + 5, -5 + 5, or is it more to see like -10 + 10, -15 + 15?
I think a lot of people are living in that swing state or stuck on one side. What we like to see, if you look at the chart, the right is like the gas pedal of a car and the left is like a brake. Well, if you're sitting in a zero gravity chair, it'd be like sitting at a stoplight. What do? Your foot is lightly resting on the brake. So there, you'd want it there mostly to the left on the green is where we'd like it when you're sitting in the chair.
So what you're saying is, if you're in that chair and you're in like, there's no threats, it should be like you're floating. The ambiance of your clinic is extremely relaxing. So if you're like, we're reading you as if you're running from a tiger, then that's the disconnect.
Right.
So basically, when I did my first session, would you have said, yeah, you're like stressed to the gills, even though you're not supposed to be? Is that what that's saying, basically?
Exactly.
And then if you were to ask me, though, what's the scale of my stress from 1 to 10? I think you do something like that. I was like, no, like a 3. I didn't feel stressed.
Yeah, you were mostly relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
so interesting.
And then after the session, I asked you where you were. I'm like, well, I thought I was relaxed. You're like, no, I'm really relaxed.
Okay, so this is my baseline, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I came back.
One other thing with your baseline.
Okay.
So the other thing we do is a personal brain index.
Okay.
So we consolidate.
Okay, so yes, and I'm going to put this on this. So this you called my personal brain index. Okay, so you can see this now, and there's a bunch of numbers, and there's a central number and then 2 below it. Could you explain each of these then?
So that's consolidating all that data. First from the emotional is consolidated to the number in the green circle. His emotional, he was mostly balanced. He was an 81. We like to see this numbers in the 80s and 90s. This chart goes 0 to 100. Have never seen 100. Have had several zeros in certain times. So it's not where you're not married to it. It's just where you are at the time. But
so even on my first scan, an 81 is
emotionally emotionally
good.
Yeah, and you weren't worried about mood. Okay. You weren't depressed. You weren't, you were coping.
Yes.
Really well emotionally. Stress you see in the blue circle was a 12. So that indicates you had some significant imbalance. They averaged the 2 to the number in the orange, which is the 35, a little more weight with the stress.
So you're saying that on the first scan, after I get my stress response and after I get sort of my emotional and subconscious conscious scans, that will summarize into a dashboard of like a total brain analysis. So what you're looking at right now is my
personal brain index.
Personal brain index. So could you explain each of the numbers on this personal brain index?
So your overall number was a 35. We like to see these numbers in the 80s and 90s. So it indicates that your flexibility of your brain, your brain's ability to both think about things outside yourself and inside emotionally, to be able to go to fight or flight when you need to, and
to come out of it,
right?
Yeah,
and to return to joy after feeling hard things.
Right.
That's really what we want people to be able to do. This is really telling you what's your index, what's your flexibility.
Okay.
So you want it in the 80s and 90s to show good flexibility, to just be able to live life and not let things overwhelm you stress-wise, but to be able to respond to them. And sometimes the response is, I don't need to respond to that.
So that central number, the 35, that was basically me coming in as my baseline, and you're going like, nah, it's lower than it should. How about the other two numbers? What is the 81 and the 12?
So the 81 for your emotions means you're pretty well balanced emotionally. Stress being at a 12, that indicates, yeah, there's an issue there. And it was split, so you were under a lot of tension.
So you take the 81, the 12, you sort of merge them together, and you get the 35.
Right.
So
a little more weight it's not an exact average,
Yeah.
because more weight's put to the stress.
So in essence, my first scan, by looking at this thing of a 35, seeing the 81, the 12, and then seeing those other two, that tells you in that moment I was what?
It tells me that you're emotionally doing okay, but you weren't handling stress well.
Stress. So I was handling my emotions, but I wasn't handling my stress.
Right.
Okay, so then that was my initial assessment. It took about, I think
10 days.
Yeah, so 10 days of, yes. So then, so I came back on my first now treatment. So you have an initial assessment. Sometimes you do treatment on that first day, correct? I think for me, because of my schedule and the fact I didn't get to you till like almost 6 p.m., we did my initial assessment and we said, hey, we're going to have you come back.
Right.
But that's not traditional, correct? Or
right.
is it?
It really depends on what the person wants to do. We call that initial session an introduction.
Right.
So if some people just want to come kick the tires and they want to figure this
see
out.
What's going on.
Yeah, it's $99. They come in. It takes an hour. It's basically everything we do in a first orientation package session,
yes,
without the actual hearing your brain tones.
Right.
So
yeah, this was like my initial exam.
Right.
And then you went over the results.
Right.
And then you said, do you want to then come back and have some therapy done through the Cereset? And I said, yes. So I came back now. I'm on my second visit with you. You repeat a baseline scan though, correct? On the second visit.
We did, because it had been a week.
Time frame
it had been a week
for me.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So like your previous, the week before you did this, it says in the corner, you were at a 69, your stress was a 61, your emotion was an 84. So you were at a different place. So something had happened between then.
Those 10-day gap, yeah.
Right. Well, this was between the 1 week, the first week and the second week.
Yes.
Your intro. And so it had gone down. So it showed us, okay, there is something more going on with stress.
Hold on. So you're saying even by my brain listening to itself without any therapy, just the assessment made me somehow aware, and then I automatically had some adaptations take place? Is that what you're saying?
What happens a lot of times, especially with professionals like yourself, is we're really good at white knuckling it through life.
Yeah.
And there's some other assessments we do to kind of say, hey, how are you doing, and things, so we can kind of compare how you're doing with life to the scans, and it helps us understand, is this accurate? Because a lot of times people are so good at coping. Up front, the brain will look balanced. But then when it starts seeing itself, it relaxes and shows us what's really going on.
Okay.
So what's interesting with yours is yours started to relax. Even those were just the initial assessments without sound. Yours relaxed and showed us more the second week already.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
now I'm back for my first official sort of Cereset therapy or treatment. So then explain what we're now looking at, because you do the 2-minute assessment, correct?
Well, what I just showed you was during the introduction, was what we just showed you.
Yes.
We skipped the introduction, and I just showed you the orientation.
Yes, correct.
So what I have during the second and third session, we don't do any charts. If you ever wanted to, you go, hey, where's my brain? I can show you real quick. But we don't print them out and go over them.
Correct.
Until the fourth session.
You go straight to, now we're going to let it listen, and then we're going to let the machine, the Cereset machine, do the, what would you call it, harmonic therapy, the sound therapy, the frequency therapy?
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, sound therapy. What I'm going to show you is 10 days later at the exit session. And we'll show you your report card again, the green and blue graph. Yeah. So if you want to put that up.
Okay, so I'm putting up now, how would you describe it? What am I putting up right now?
This is the report card for the exit.
Exit, so my exit treatment.
Correct. So first is your emotions. You'll see the frontal poles, the emotional fitness. It's labeled there at the top. You see his is very similar to what it was at first. So he was pretty balanced. It stayed balanced. Again, his brain prioritized his stress response and working there. There's verbiage in there that talks about maybe his brain needs more support. At an 81, there is room for improvement, but in these first 4 sessions in 2 weeks, the big winner was your stress area. So you put that up now.
So this now is my stress read. So it's a massive difference compared to that initial stress read.
So first thing you should notice is that big tail to the left is gone.
Gone.
And the part way to the right is gone.
Yeah.
So your balance has come in near the green. Again, we like it to be a little to the left with your foot lightly resting on the brake. Yours is still to the right, but considering where you came from.
So it's almost like, let's use an analogy of a car. My initial scan was in my cortex of emotions. I was mostly pushing on the gas. So I'm leading to the right. So I'm like more in fight or flight response. So I'm like, my rev would have been, my RPM's at like a 5. Am I doing this properly?
Yeah, you were.
Or maybe a 10. And
you were slamming on the brake.
And I was also pushing the brake at the same time, because that left pull of my stress response would be like, I'm pushing on the brake hard, and I'm also pushing on the gas really hard. And I don't know about you, but like that would make an engine basically explode.
Yeah.
So there's only so long a human being can survive in that state of pedal and gas. Now, with that same analogy, if my gas was at a 10 and my brake was at a 10, this scan that we're just now showing you, where would you put that in that analogy now? Is my gas at a 2? My brake's at a 2? Is my gas at a 10? Or where's my gas?
Your gas is probably at a 1.
Okay.
And your brake's at a 0.
Wow.
So do we want you stepping on the gas while you're relaxing? No.
No. Yeah.
But the key thing for you is you're a successful professional. You're doing so many things for your health.
Right.
And you didn't realize you were carrying this tension.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, how does it feel afterwards?
The only way I can describe it is it's almost this like biblical concept of a peace that passes understanding. And I told my team and my staff this. I was like, you know, it's not uncommon for us to have 150, 200 people come through our clinic in a single day.
Wow.
So for most average practitioners, I mean, some doctors see 6, 7, 5 patients a day. A very busy, even general practice might do 40 or 50. So you have to remember, we have 4 clinicians, we have therapy assistants, we have staff, and we have nutrition coaches. So we don't just have people coming for one specific thing. So it's not uncommon for 100 people to come in 2 hours.
Wow.
And I always felt like, I called it's organized chaos. I feed off the energy. That was my initial description. Now it's more like it's peaceful chaos. And the only way I can describe it is it's almost like it doesn't make sense that I'm so relaxed, because most people would probably get so stressed out living a day in my life. I'm up at 4:30 pretty much every morning. I spend an hour of quiet time to just get my mind set straight. By 5:30, I have to spend an hour looking through my charts of the day, because if I have 150 appointments, I have to read and get myself caught up with everyone. By the time I leave my house to get here, it's still 7 in the morning. So I've already been up for almost 2.5 to 3 hours prepping for my day, as if it's a major game, like as if I'm playing the NFL Super Bowl. Then for 6 hours, I work with clients and patients. And like you, I have people with cancer and sciatica and heart disease and, you know, some end-stage diseases, and some people who are like, I just have a headache that's bothering me and I'm annoyed with it. So I have the full spectrum of people, and I have to be able to interact with them and give them hope and inspiration. Yeah. And then I work through lunch doing phone calls with people all over the US. And then I leave here at 6:30 and I get home by 7, and I have to spend time with my family and my kids and have dinner and connect with my wife and my children. And then it's like, okay, it's 11 o'clock and it's time to go to bed. And I'm so driven that my wife is always like, as soon as you lay down and you close your, because I'm so exhausted. But I wake up the next morning at 4:30 and I'm like, I'm ready to go. And now it's more like it's joy. Yep. Even though the day hasn't changed, the day is still the same for me, but it's more like a relaxed sense of peace.
That's exactly.
That's how I would describe what Cereset did to me.
And that's what we tell. An outward manifestation of a balanced temporal lobe is deep, restful sleep, inner peace, and a strong sense of well-being and calm.
Yeah, and I think I told you this. I used to wake up pretty much every night at 3:33 in the morning.
Wow.
Or 4:44. My pattern was always 2:22, 3:33, or 4:44. And I always got a kick of it. I would take screenshots on my phone, and that doesn't happen anymore.
Wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
Just straight through.
So the other thing that we want to put up.
So this is now my new, so this is, again, I'm sorry.
Your personal brain
index. So this is my my exiting personal brain index. So could you now, because the numbers are very unique now, can you explain what you're looking at now?
Well, you notice first his emotions, is unique. One thing unique, his number was exactly the same. So his brain.
My emotional stability.
Yeah, 81.
And so, still again, 81.
81. But your stress went from a 12 to an 84. So a 62-point jump, which brought up your overall average from a 34 to a 83.
83.
So we want it to be in the 80s and 90s. There's still, what that says is there's still capacity for greater neural flexibility, neuroplasticity, flexibility there. But great jump in 4 sessions.
And is that because, I'll go back to my other screen on how you're showing with this now exiting scan of I'm still slightly right. Like you said, you're not pushing on the brake, but you still sort of like, I'm like, really, like I can actually like let go. I'm still slightly pushing on the gas. If that was like a 90, is that because I would like let off the gas?
Yep.
And is the goal 0 and 0, or is the goal actually 0 and slightly brake?
For gas and brake, slightly brake.
Slightly brake.
Yeah. So you'd want to be, because you're light, you're resting, you're relaxing. Yeah. So, but overall, great start. Yeah. 4 sessions. You still have a 5th session. So the 5th session, you're in what we call the integration.
Correct.
Season. So you're integrating this. You're integrating new connections in your brain. You're integrating this in your life. And so what we're doing between session 4 and 5 is we're trying to see how does your brain respond. We're not pressure and we're not prescriptive. We're like, let's see what your brain does. Because everyone wants to know, how often do I need to do, we call them tune-ups.
So like once you get to this zone of like when you're in the 83, 5, 7s, yeah, because I asked you this, I was like, well, what should I do now? And it's like, I think if I remember, you're like, well, I think you could still have room for improvement because you're still slightly like your gas pedal's still pushed, even though you're floating in this amazing zero gravity chair. I'm talking like, I even told you the first session, I was like, where can I buy one of these? That chair is by far the most relaxing chair I've ever been in my entire life. It's worth $99 just to go and take a nap in that chair.
And then your brain just starts hearing itself in it.
Yes. So room for improvement. Let's talk about that. And you said you've never seen someone at 100.
Never seen 100.
Well, and I don't ever see anybody at 100% health either. And I'm going to throw a little caveat. Here's a curveball. I think it's because on Earth, we're never going to be perfect. Now, if we died, maybe it would be 100. It's probably going to be 0, but it would be 100 because when we return to our Creator and we return to our spiritual realm, there is no disease and there's no stress. It's just pure everythingness. So I teach this a lot for those of you who've been watching our podcast for a period of time. I don't want you at 100% health because the only way to be 100% healthy is to be dead. I don't think you want people at 100% perfect brain balance because the only way to have that is to scan a human soul in heaven. Yeah. So what would be, just as an example, the highest scan you've ever seen on someone?
I think I've seen maybe a 96 or 97.
And was that like after not just their initial intensives, but like they've been tuning themselves for years? Or was it someone achieved that after their first 4 or 5?
I've probably seen it with both.
Wow.
Because the thing is, life happens.
Yeah.
And we come to people in all kinds of scenarios of health. I do see people who are dealing with cancer. I do see people who are going through relational issues, dealing with adult children. Having aging parents.
We all have our thing, right? Like, there's nobody walking on this planet who's like, there's nothing going on in my life. So we all have a thing. But I think what you're describing is, let me put these two up, okay? So here's my first personal brain map.
Personal brain index.
So here's my first personal brain index. And what this is showing you is that I'm just really not dealing with my life very well. I'm stressed out. Even though I'm emotionally balanced, I'm just stressed. I'm living in fight or flight.
You're burning yourself out.
So now, my external environment really hasn't changed, but my ability to be aware and respond is what has changed due to Cereset. So now you see this exiting scan, and now, even though my external environment hasn't changed, my ability to be in a fight or flight if I need, or pull out of it, or be stressed or not be stressed, that's what's changed. Is that correct?
You're able to respond instead of just react.
Yes.
And reaction can be habits.
Yes.
It can be eating sugar. It could be
that
eating
thing
carb.
we do when we're stressed out, right? And that's what we do to
Yeah.
try to calm ourselves down.
Yes.
My counselor says you're just running your blueprint. So when you're stressed, do you go to your blueprint, or do you have the ability to catch yourself? Maybe it's the fact that I'm at an 83 now. I'm like, oh, my blueprint was, and now I go, no, let me just, and I'm going to do something different. I'm carving a new path. I'm finding a better way to react, so that instead of fight or flight exiting, or fight or flight pursuing, or fight or flight defending, or fight or flight arguing, I'm trying my best to go, I'm in a fight or flight state, ready? So that I can do a different blueprint, carving a new one.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, just for the sheer fact that we've met the way we've met, and that you've spent some of your valuable time coming here to our studio to do this. How do people find out more about Cereset?
So you can always go to the website, cereset.com. A lot of good, there's a research tab. There's a lot of testimonials there. I think a great way to learn about Cereset is just to Google Wake Forest Cereset research results. We didn't do the research. Wake Forest Research I think they've studied over 1,000 patients in studies.
Okay.
And the last one was stressed out healthcare workers during COVID.
Wow.
And it reduced their stress and anxiety 72%. Wow. So there's some great research out there as well. But you can also reach out if you want to go specifically to Cereset Davidson. Just give us a call or a text.
Yeah, so for those of you who are watching locally in the Carolinas, Davidson is, I'd call it like a north suburb of, Charlotte, because it goes Charlotte, Huntersville, Cornelius, Davidson, Mooresville. So it's not that you're far, but you are the only Cereset within the greater Charlotte area, correct?
Yes.
So the next closest would be Raleigh, or is it even outside of North Carolina?
Going west, there's one near Asheville.
Okay.
North, it's by D.C.
Yeah, so it's not that it's just local here. Now, look, our show goes nationwide. So could someone watching this show possibly have a Cereset clinic near them?
Yeah,
And how do we find them? Like, let's pretend I'm in St. Louis, or I'm in Texas, and I'm watching this right now, and I go, I would love to do Cereset. How do they find a Cereset clinic?
Cereset.com, and then click on the Find a Center.
Look how easy that is.
See what's near you. Yeah, and when we came into the franchise, we were like number 30, 32.
Okay.
There's like 65 now.
Yeah.
I think there's one in Canada. There might be one in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's been expanded.
But so we are quite locally here in the Carolinas, and we're extremely blessed to have a Cereset in Davidson. And I'll throw this out because you guys know our clinics as part of the Ask Dr Ernst network is Cornerstone. So it's Cornerstone Health Center, and the T is a cross because we believe that God, Christ, the divinity is what helps people to heal. And you blend faith into your therapy.
Absolutely.
And that is very unique because some people could look at it as, well, is Cereset like, oh, we're listening to brainwaves and we're harmonically frequency, boom. I mean, think about it, like, sound bowl therapies and woo. So like it gets a little new age-ish sometimes, but the fact that you're blending a biblical-based faith approach to the brain, I think that's worth investigating. So Cereset is Cereset, correct? .com. So I'll put the information on the screen. I'll even have my video team probably do a graphical overlay of just scrolling up and scrolling down on the .com. Any final comments, anything you'd like to say, anything to just speak to even the people that you have watching this feed today?
Well, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you checking out Cereset. We really do believe we can help your brain help you. And our hope is in Christ, not in Cereset. It's a tool God has asked us to to steward in the Charlotte area for this season. We've been proud to do it for 5 years. We're hoping to do it for many more.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. It's been an exceptional interview today.
Thank you.
Hey, so just, classic exits that you watch on every single podcast. I want to take a moment to not just thank Curtis for coming here today, but to thank the idea that as humans, we're constantly educating ourselves, and there's technology now. I mean, think about it. We live in the world of AI. The fact that you can have your mind talk to itself and train itself the right way is revolutionary. And in that same token, though, remember, we have sponsors of the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. If you're looking for the best night's sleep ever, check out bioposture.com. There's going to be a video in just a moment that shows you that this mattress actually has the ability to read your electrical energy. It feeds off of the heat that comes off of your body, and the Celient technology turns that heat back into light. So you're laying on a mattress that's giving you an infrared and an ultraviolet light back onto the body. Purely organic, no flame retardants. It's the only mattress my family sleeps on. And don't forget also to check out Purity Coffee. It's the only coffee brand that I know that is truly pure. It's called Purity because there's no mold, there's no pesticides, there's no glyphosate. They lab test every single batch. And guys, it's local from a South Carolina roaster. You order it online and you get it within the next day. Date stamped as roasted just a few days ago. PurityCoffee.com, check them out. You'll also see a video from them in a moment. And then finally, Dry Farm Wines, our premier sponsor. Did you know every single wine in the United States is contaminated?
I did not know that.
With glyphosate.
Wow.
American wine. So all of these California blends, even the very expensive bottles that come from Napa Valley, fully contaminated with glyphosate. So what does Dry Farm Wines do? They go outside of the US to Italy and France and Portugal and Austria and Spain and even Argentina, and they source the best wines where the farmers are guaranteed to be biodynamic. No pesticides, no herbicides, no fungicides, no glyphosate. And the best part is the dry nature of fermentation is different. They let the natural bacteria and the natural yeasts on the grapes do the fermentation. No added bacteria, no added yeast. And they ferment all the way down to where there's no sugar left. So one bottle of wine has 0.75 grams of sugar.
Wow.
American wines average 14 to 30 grams of sugar per bottle. So the issue of why people feel so fuzzy when they drink a glass of wine is not the alcohol. It's actually the pesticides you're reacting to and the sugar. So this might sound nuts, but if you get a bottle of Dry Farm wine for 1 penny, that's the intro offer. dryfarmwines.com/AskDrErnst. A penny bottle, ready? You could physically drink all 4 glasses and you're gonna be like, I do not feel hammered, but what I feel is relaxed. And I feel emotionally more aware, and your sugars don't go up, your ketones don't crash. It's very special wine.
Wow.
It's curated specifically for your taste profiles. You can do red and white or blends. And if you're not someone who drinks a lot of wine, like I don't drink a lot of wine. I have wine maybe once a week with a special meal. So a bottle of wine could last me a month. So what we do is we get 6 bottles every 3 months. So you can do it every month, you can do it every 2 months, every 3. You can even curate down to the region of the area. I only like East Bank South Bordeaux now. So my wine concierge will find East Bank South Bordeaux, heavily bold dry reds, and they ship them straight to your house. So dryfarmwines.com/AskDrErnst. Use that code. It gives you your first bottle for a penny, and then you get a discount on your regular subscription. Same thing with Purity. Ask Dr. Ernst, guys. It's the key. It unlocks at least a $5, if not $10 discount on your regular order. And bioposture.com, if you say that you watch the Ask Dr. Ernst Show, not only do they give you a discount on the mattress, but I believe they give you a free set of sheets and a free pillow. Which, like these days, you know how much a set of sheets costs?
A lot.
And a pillow, it's like a $300-400 value. 100% organic, non-toxic. The best part is for the beds, no flame retardants. All that off-gassing of VOCs is dangerous for your health. Sorry guys, I had to plug everyone because they sponsor us, but listen, the reason I let them sponsor us is they're here for your health. Just like I asked you to come, Curtis, because you're doing something amazing that people need to learn about. Because if you get your mind tuned, it's amazing how you can even start hearing from God more. Like I truly believe Cereset has helped me to understand the Bible better, have better quiet time, and actually hear from God more than I've ever heard before.
Wow.
Because I think I don't have my foot on the gas and the brake at a 10. I mean, think about it. And those of you who know me, you're like, yeah, Dr. Ernst, you do. You drive 1,000 miles per hour. But I was driving with the brake on. Now I'm driving, but I need to learn how to let the car drive itself. Rather than me driving this car, I need to let God drive the car. And I think if God's driving your car, you would have a Cereset, you'd have the brake, and you wouldn't be pushing on the gas. Thank you once again. Guys, be blessed.
Thanks.
Until next time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Activate the bell on YouTube. Guys, the bell is very important. It tells you when we're live. And hey, if you're on Facebook, don't just click follow. Click and hold. Something unique happens if you didn't know this. A menu shows up and you can say live notifications. Again, if we go live on Facebook, you will be notified on your phone. The Ask Dr. Ernst Show is live. Do you want to tune in? Instagram, all you got to do is click that heart and make sure you follow our page. Guys, thanks so much. We'll see you every single Saturday. Remember, 3 p.m., the Ask Dr. Ernst Show, nationwide podcasting. And remember, Tuesdays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, it's Q&A with Dr. A. 30 minutes, 100%. Ask any question you want about anything, and you get real health answers. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.